Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discussing Trek. Today, we're here to review Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 4, Episode 6, Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. Like always, I'm your host, Clarence. I'm joined by my fellow co-host slash Trekkie, starting with and exclusively tonight, Larry Irby. How you
Yeah,
doing, man?
I'm all right.
You just all right. You're all right, man.
I'm all
How's it going?
right.
How things going in your world, man?
Busy.
Busy.
Mm.
Well, I know how that is. I can relate. I can relate. And I'll say hello to each and every one of you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Hello, Win Grace. See you giving us
What's
a
up,
message
Wayne
there.
Grace? I've been watching a lot of his content.
Oh, yes, good
I
stuff.
Yeah, I haven't got to comment on, talk to him about it, but yeah, it's good.
Indeed, indeed. So, man, any Star Trek related news you'd like to get into before we dive into this review of Lord X?
Yes.
Do tell.
Well, it's a little bit of news. I was watching one of the shows and they were going over Patrick Stewart's memoirs or whatever that came out,
Mm,
or it's coming out. And there was an excerpt, he gave all his reasons to do Star Trek Picard and the things he didn't want. And his biggest reason, and I think he touched on this before, he didn't want it to be a next generation reunion.
yeah.
He wanted Picard to have moved on. He didn't want him in Starfleet anymore, was a big one. And also, sorry, just my headphone. Um, and he also did not want Picard in a uniform. And by the end of the show, everything he didn't want come to pass, which is really bizarre.
I think he got most of the. Was he in the uniform? He was in a
Yeah,
version.
he was in a that's a
Yeah.
uniform.
Yeah. And, we had the flashback scenes, which, of course, had to have the uniform. So, yeah. I remember distinctly that was the directive when this show first started. He didn't want to
Hmm.
just do another TNG, bring all the TNG characters back. But that's kind of what happened in the end, and everybody loved it. So Patrick Stewart may have been wrong on that.
Hmm.
But I will admit it was good to get something a little bit different before we dove back into what we knew. So maybe that's what made us love it that much more. I don't know. Also in the chat, we have Tasha. Hey, Tasha. And also Marge. Hello.
Tasha,
Hello.
congratulations to Tasha on her new grandchild.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. And Wingray saying that he was in a special leather jacket uniform. I
It
love
was
those uniforms that they had, those leatherish type uniforms. I think Seven had one something similar as well. Um, yeah, yeah. And Mars saying Picard season 3 was brilliant. Indeed, it was. Indeed, it was. So we have other news we could talk about, but we're just going to get right into this review. And I can't wait to hear Larry's thoughts on this episode of Lower Decks. Star Trek Lower Decks Parth Ferengi's Heart Place was written by Cullen Crawford and directed by Brandon Williams. The USS Cerritos visits the Ferengi homeworld. So if you have not watched this episode, put us on pause, go out, watch it, come back, because from this moment forward, spoilers. The spoiler warning has been dropped, and we are back to review this episode. Larry, let me get your high level thoughts on this episode, sir.
I enjoyed this episode. This was this was Lower Decks doing what Lower Decks does well, telling
Mm,
their own stories,
yes.
giving us some nostalgia, but not just treading over. Oh, we're gonna mention Spock did this. We're gonna mention Worf did that, or whatever. But like actually, and I'm gonna say you seeing Chase or hearing Chase and Max back as Lita and Rom. Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I had the slightest clue that they would be back for this episode. I really didn't, never even crossed my mind.
Me either.
But man, I agree. When they do their own thing, it's always the best Lower Decks. And what this episode managed to do, it managed to extend on the canon that we knew, bring back these characters, but not just to solely rehash old things. We went into new territory. I mean, the for Ringnars joining the Federation, and this their application. So yeah, I like how they brought back stuff and they extended on it. I think it's an episode of character growth for Mariner, and I think we got what we've always wanted to see with Tindy and Rutherford, to see where that relationship may go, even though it's under false pretenses. But very interesting to see them get a little closer, one might say.
Yeah. The, the weird thing is you couldn't tell was were would it not work just because they're just super good friends and it just is not in the cards, or is the idea there and they're both so scared of it, like they don't want to ruin their friendship, that they're just suppressing it?
Mm, I think it's fear, and a fear over maybe like you said, they're such great friends they don't want to ruin it. I just found it weird that they didn't think they had chemistry at one point, but yeah, the way they work together, the way they click off each other, I think they're just like almost a perfect couple. But they're together because of this travel guide duty, which is the coveted thing in Starfleet that people love to do, is to go to different home worlds and actually just go to bars and museums and have a good old time on a Federation dime. So that's kind of what kind of pushed that in this episode. And they were playing our resident married couple for the trip. So yeah, putting them in an awkward situation, and you know, I liked seeing them squirm a little bit. I've seen Eugene Cadero in two great episodes of something in the past week, and I've enjoyed
Oh
them
yeah.
greatly in both.
Oh yeah, we know Eugene can. I'm gonna tell you what though, and they always say that it's flattering when you copy something for somebody. Sluggo Cola is absolutely taken from Futurama.
Oh, is it really?
Absolute, yeah.
But it was referenced on a DS9 episode, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think I want to say it was. I can't tell you what episode,
Because
but I
all I think of is when they had that thing on Futurama and they all kept drinking it, and it was the slime from the snails, and what's the name said, "Wow, this is good," and he told him what it was, and he spit it out, but then later he couldn't help it because it was so good.
yeah, I just thought all of that, the ad placement, seeing Boimler, the meta thing there of we're watching this on Paramount Plus, and we're getting the CBS Eye, we're getting the Paramount Mountains, and he is sitting there in the far future binging Ferengi TV. Just well written and funny, and even the in ad placement, all of it.
Mhm.
I think they did a perfect job on that.
Okay. Wing Grace says it was mentioned. Uh, um, I remember that episode
It was referenced in the
where,
DS9 episode where Quark became a woman, but the branding and stuff here was definitely a riff off of Futurama. So he does
yeah,
agree with you. Looks like it could have been. I did a quick memory alpha search. Prophet and Lace. Was that the episode?
maybe. And it was funny too, because this episode has now become controversial.
Mm.
It wasn't at the time.
What? What? This episode?
No, the episode
Oh,
that
okay,
you're
okay.
talking about
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The one, the DS9 episode.
Yeah.
I can't remember that one becoming controversial now. Dare I ask why?
Yeah, it's a low. Do you really want to get into?
Let's.
It's how people now didn't think something was bad then, but
Mhm.
now all of a sudden they're looking at it through different eyes and they're like, "Oh, what were they trying to say here? It was an
Mm.
agenda."
Interesting, interesting. Picking up Marge's comment. Yeah, you caught the Paramount Mountain. Yes, that was nice. Yeah, I got a kick out of seeing that stuff. Thanks to Tasha for, if you haven't subscribed to her, we mentioned Win Grace. Subscribe to both of these channels, Win Grace's channel and also Tasha's channel. But Tasha mentioned in her last live stream that of the CBS Eye and the mountains. I kind of caught the mountains the first time, but I did not catch the eye the first time. Which it was the whole TV set was like a big eye, so CBS Eye. So yeah, they definitely played that up in this episode. I want to go back a little bit here and pick up a comment. Marge mentioned that loving seeing Chase and Max back. Yes, they were great. And you know what? They didn't skip a beat. They didn't skip a beat. They sounded like they could have did the final episode yesterday. And they have a certain chemistry that I really love seeing. And,
Mhm.
talk about character arcs. Talk about Rom from the beginning of DS9 to now as the Grand Nagus. That's like huge because I hate to say it, but wasn't Rom kind of the I hate to use the word dumb, but he was a smart, aloof one in the group to me at first. Um,
Rom's that guy who seems Rom is a lot like Reg Barkley. When you first see
mm,
him, you don't think they're formidable. You don't think they're smart. You don't think, and turn out, Rom's a genius.
he is. Yes.
He's a
Yes.
genius. What he did with the self-replicating minds, and you know what? But the best thing, one of the best things they ever did for character arc, is they turned it on its head. Everybody wanted to see Lita get with uh, my boy Bashir,
Uh huh.
or they wanted to see her get with this person or that person, and it was so amazing that the least likely person on Deep Space Nine that Lita could end up being with was Rom.
Yeah. Yeah. Did well done. Well done. Bravo.
I didn't see that coming, but I loved it.
So let's talk a little bit about the depiction of Ferenginar in this episode. Um, of course, we've seen it before. I remember it being rainy before in DS9, but I never really pictured it. And maybe we're just seeing like a subsection of Ferenginar, but it's basically Las Vegas. Is
Yeah.
that kind of what you had in your mind when you think of what Ferenginar might be, knowing it's all about the profits and making money and not profits, the profit making money?
Profit. Listen, the Ferengi were capitalism dialed up to nine, and
Yeah.
it. We use the Ferengi and we laugh at stuff, but the Ferengi really do embody a lot of the traits that we have now. Like, you have so many people who have a ton of money, yet they're willing to cheat and steal to get more. You have more than you can ever
Yeah.
spend now, but I don't care. I need more. And there's the Ferengi always need more.
Well, in the cold open, and we'll get to that, get in depth in that later, but it was mentioned that Rom, the new Negus, values hospitality, and it was something else he said to describe what he wanted Ferenginar to look like in the future. No more selling weapons. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to be on the up and up. We're trying to get with the Federation. So I thought that was very interesting as well. And just to take that a little bit further, I love how they used each of the rules of acquisition throughout this episode. I wish I had them written down. I don't, but I think every time they quoted one, it wasn't wasted. It was always funny and well placed. So great job with the rules acquisition there in this episode. I want to pick
Oh,
up.
that
Go ahead.
was probably fun to come up with anyway.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you imagine the writers in the writers room on DS9 coming up with all the rules of acquisition?
Oh
That
yeah.
just had to be fun.
Good fun. Good fun. Pick up Win Grace's comment here. Rom is definitely a good example of being crushed by his own society and coming to his own once allowed out of the box. And now he's running the place. Uh, let me get your thoughts on Ferenginar actually becoming a part of the Federation. Is it something you thought would happen? Are they too much of a money profit driven society to actually be in the Federation? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, here's my thing. No, I think that would be good, because I'm gonna tell you why. The Federation takes all people. You can't always preach inclusion, but it's got to be inclusion on my terms. That's really not inclusion.
Mm,
So the Ferengi should be allowed to keep. Now, there are certain things we will not allow. We will not allow, because we know how they treated the ladies.
Um,
at first.
it came. Somebody pointed out that there were
They did.
unclothed females in this episode. But
Hmm.
continue. I'm
But
sorry.
most had clothes.
Yeah, most had clothes. Even in that
It,
the TV scene, one had clothes as well. So,
oh yeah,
bravo,
Moogie,
bravo.
Moogie. Of course, she had clothes on.
Yeah,
Well,
Moogie.
we
Yeah,
had to do that, so we had to make her a maverick because we were obviously weren't going to have any nudity on Deep Space Nine. Let's be real here.
yeah.
They saved that for Enterprise. Never mind.
Steamy
I
scenes,
know,
man.
yeah,
The best.
but
Okay, so
but no, seriously, they could have their own culture and keep everything. I think it would be great to see the like Rom, like especially Nog, and Aaron, who's no longer with us. God rest
yeah,
his soul. He brought Nog. I'm still telling you, Nog is in the top 5 or top 4 best story arcs that I have seen in Star Trek.
yeah, great.
To come from where he came from as a petty criminal, right? Working for his uncle to being a Starfleet officer,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh man. Me and my girlfriend was watching the episode. I don't know the name of the episode, but the one when Nog, I guess it could have been in several, but Nog and Jake were on a date, and Nog was trying to go by all the Ferengi rules of women with the dates, and Jake was just over there shaking his head like, "Nah, come on, man, you can't do that," you know. Yeah, man, such a great character,
Yeah,
such a great character, man.
Aaron and Chirac had such good chemistry too when they would do those things. But
Yeah.
think about it. If they join the Federation, I mean, maybe the Federation would find a way to justify all the money they spend that they don't actually have because we don't use money.
Let's pick up a few comments here. Tasha is saying there was a new rule of acquisition in this episode. Hmm. I didn't catch the new one, but
Oh, I want to know.
makes sense. And Marge is saying the rules of acquisition lend seriousness to the Ferengi. Yeah, that's their code of honor. Yeah, I'm holding up quotes here for honor for Ferengi, but yeah. And Wingray's saying only nudity allowed was Troy's mom. Did we? Did hmm?
Yeah, remember when they got kidnapped?
Why am I not remembering that? Huh. Let's see, Nogs. All right, here we have another a question here from Tasha. Was there any mention of Nog in this episode? I don't think so.
I didn't hear it.
I wish there had been.
I really do.
Yeah. But we do get the introduction of two new Ferengi. We get Parth, of course, in his love palace or heart's plate, whatever they're calling it in this episode. We get him and we get Quimp in this episode. So I want to start with Quimp. Quimp and Mariner. Mariner goes off with her friend Quimp, and to me, this episode was a great moment of growth for Mariner because she sees where I guess she had this friend that they used to run tight and get in all type of mischief. But when she is back, you know, he is like, "What are you doing? You haven't grown up any. I'm a different person now. I don't party and get drunk and all this other stuff anymore. I'm a different person. I've grown up." And we learned that Mariner has been uh, lieutenant junior grade before, which I think we knew that already. But yeah, he's like, "What's wrong with you? You have a free ride in a fancy car. Basically, you're just killing it. You're destroying all your opportunities." And hopefully this is a point that Mariner sees that it's time to grow up a little bit. What did you think about Mariner in this episode?
I actually think Mariner's been on this track this year, and I disagreed with some people because I know there were some people saying, "Oh, if we're just gonna go back to Mariner again, okay, she's not gonna get over it." Like, I hate to interject it in a comedy show, but I think Mariner has experienced some kind of trauma that she
Mm,
has. I mean, it's played for comedy, but she keeps on shooting herself in the foot on purpose.
mm,
Okay, and but she's not going to change overnight. So I like this. Her buddy saying, "Look, come on, you're brilliant." He basically saying, like, Mariner could actually be where her mom is
Yeah.
one day.
Yes.
She's that smart, but she's afraid, and she uses that fear. She puts up that wall. Like, I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I don't care. She does care. She's afraid to care.
Mm.
But I know we're talking about a comedy show, but
No,
it's pretty deep though.
it's valid, man, because they said something in this episode that I'm going to write down, underline 3 times, where Quimp says she's stuck in a perpetual state of immature rebellion. That's a pretty good statement right there. Jeez
That
Louise.
is right on the head.
Love it, love it, love it. And he poses the question, Mariner, what's eating you up inside? I think that's what we all want to know, right? What happened to Mariner? I think hopefully we
Yeah.
get that this season because and once you realize that, maybe we'll see a different Mariner.
Well,
But like you said, I do like the change we've seen in her so far this season. Having her not be the main point of interest in a lot of episodes, she's been able to sit in the background and still be funny, and it plays
mhm.
a lot better to me in that sense.
I think she's number one. I think she's got the whole thing of legacy because we never
Mm,
heard them talk about her parents. Parents were they Starfleet officers? Also, we don't know, but we do know. She's the daughter, and I assume her dad was probably a pretty well-known captain before he
mm,
became an admiral, and her mom's a captain. That's a lot to live up to.
yeah, yeah, and I agree with Marge here saying that she uses humor as a defense. She does. She does. Now, what may have probably shouldn't have been as funny as it was. I did get a laugh out of it, but the whole Ferengi Memorial mourning lost profits. It was funny, but it was also cringe. I'm like, oh man, it's
It
almost
was
too close to
supposed to
real
be
world.
cringe. It was
It
supposed to be.
like, oh no, they didn't. Of course, we can think of several examples of real world instances where there's a memorial for good reason. So yeah, they poked fun, and it was funny, but like you said, also cringe. Um, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. A few more comments here. There were some good guesses about her trauma in my chat yesterday. There were, and again, I
I
say go.
wanna I wanna know what were some of them, Clarence. Do you remember?
I can't think of any right off.
If
uh,
Tasha remembers, let us
yeah,
know.
Tasha,
Cause
put it
I
in.
would like to know.
In legacy, Marge mentions the legacy of her parents. Is a good point. Um, so we talked about Boimler. We talked about Mariner and Quimp.
No, we didn't
Uh,
really talk about Boimler.
well, we let's get into it. Anything about Boimler doing nothing for the?
Oh my God. I loved it. I loved the fact that he got hooked on TV and he's sitting there watching TV and he's just sitting there zoning out. It reminded me of a Family Guy episode. Don't ask me which one because we can't go no farther into
Mm.
it than that.
Uh oh.
If anybody knows, they probably know, but leave that alone. But he's just sitting there. It's just like so into it. And it's like, oh my goodness. That's so him. How he does everything to
Yeah.
120%.
Yeah. But it's also definitely so meta because isn't that all of us? We sit down on our couch. I'm gonna just watch this one show, and before you know it, you look up and it's several hours have passed. Productivity killer is what I
Oh,
call it.
oh, not me.
Not you.
I am an absolute channel, sir. If I'm not on YouTube, I may have YouTube on, the computer on, and a movie on all at the same time.
I can't do it, man.
I know I need to be on that medication, man.
um, yeah. Anything else in the episode? I'm going through
Oh yeah,
looking
the
some. I'm
Admiral.
the Admiral Vassary.
Oh,
Vassary.
he had me
He's an
crack. Who was the voice of him, if
I
anybody
don't know, but
knows?
he isn't. Okay. As far as admirals go, he was probably the least smart I've seen. But as far
He
as
was
comedy goes, it was great in this episode. We got to see
You
him dance. We got to see him, basically um, uh, give in to every whim of Lita. In this episode.
you know what I loved about that was because he was your stereotypical paper pusher. He
Mm.
wanted to get it done. No, we have to get it done, Captain. It'll be great for the Federation. He's all gun ho, and we'll get in there. And his thing was to get it done, get Ferenginar in the Federation. Let's let's have it. Let's do this. And she said, "Hold on now. I think you jumping the gun a little bit here." And he was just like, no, we have to get it done. I really liked his character showing how naive that
Yeah.
sometimes in real life people in his position can be. And somebody who's in the field, like Carol, goes, I think you're getting played. But
Yeah, you got to give Captain Freeman a hand clap in this episode because she was fantastic. Um,
yeah,
what did you say? The dumb one and the she gave an analogy to Lean and Rum. It was like smart cop, bad cop. She gave an analogy to them. I can't remember what it was, but man, and Rum does come off first like he doesn't have a clue what's going on. He just wants to go play baseball. Come back and see my baseball collection and all of this stuff. But man, they click off each other and they are kind of
yeah.
scary the way they work off each other, man.
I'm reading.
He gets you let your guard down while she comes in and puts in the dagger.
Yeah, and the thing about it, I already saw a comment on somebody's thing. Do we think? Oh, that I don't know if I thought that was kind of Lita and Rom though, and I said that was definitely Lita and Rom, and I'm
Mm,
gonna tell you why. They had to do that. They would not be respected as leaders of Ferenginar if they didn't try to swindle
yeah,
everything they could out of the Federation.
yeah, yeah. And I found it kind of refreshing or very true to Star Trek that by Freeman swindling them back in the very end is what gained their respect and allowed them to sign in the end. That's so
Exactly.
Star Trek, man.
It's so come on. That's you got to give applause to that. That's just beautiful. It's almost we actually saw the same thing almost on um Strange New Worlds when that
Hmm.
one group was going to join, and Pike basically told him,
Yep.
"Nah, I wouldn't join. Hey, you got good reason not to want to join.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to join us either." But this was so like, what? You cheated us back? Oh my God, I love you. We have to join now.
Yeah, they respected that so much. Yeah, I love that. And they are saying that the actor for Shax was playing Vassery. So, uh,
Oh, okay.
Fred Tatasari, if I'm saying his name right, uh, played Shax, played Admiral Vassery. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. He's great in that role.
Yeah, I enjoyed the whole thing. I thought we were going to get to see Quark again.
Yeah, that would have been
I would
nice.
I would love to see um is it, Shimmerman,
Yeah,
Armin Shimmer. I would
yeah,
love to see Armin back. But we got him before, so
yeah. But as Wingrace mentioned in the chat earlier, I believe he mentioned that Uncle Quark was mentioned in the episode, and we did see Quarks kind of spread all throughout.
oh,
Um,
Quark got all.
yeah,
And here's the thing: isn't this show, if I'm right in the timeline, Lower Decks is set past Picard, isn't it? It would have to be.
I don't
It's a gray area, but
think so. Help us out, chat room. Is this after Picard? I think it's before. I
no,
think it's
I think it's after.
hmm.
Because
Let,
well, jump from Pike. He told Pike they're 125 years in the future.
mm-hmm.
That would be past.
Yeah, yeah.
Not it's a they play with it, so we don't really know where it falls on it.
Oh man. So I have to mention this going back to Rutherford and Tindy. Quark's Federation Experience Bar and Grill. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Star Trek The Experience in Vegas, but to me, this is just like a straight up Easter egg to that, especially when you get to the picture of the Enterprise D and the Voyager hanging from the top of the ceiling. That is directly out of
That is right.
Star Trek The Experience.
Wingrace just hit. Yes, it has to be before. You're right, because we saw Riker as the captain of the Titan.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
So it's before. So it's in between somewhere. I guess between Voyager and Star Trek Picard on the timeline somewhere in there.
Yep. 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 But yeah, I think he was Star Trek: The Experience, Quark's Federation Bar and Grill. What did you think of that? You know, with the Star Trek: The Experience, we had the Quark's Bar. They're kind of flipping it on its head here, where instead of we have Star Trek, instead of the Star Trek experience, you have Federation experience. Just all kind of shout outs to the Las Vegas experience there. I loved all of that.
You know
Thought it
what
was great.
what it reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of Jack Rabbit Slims in Pulp Fiction, where they go there, they go to eat, and they have all the different waiters and waitresses dressed
Mm-hmm.
up as iconic 50 icons like Marilyn Monroe and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And I just love that seeing him walking around. The Ferengi dresses. I guess it's supposed to be Spock and Ferengi. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, there was a cringe moment when they told them they'd had to go into the what did he call it? The blind box, where they can't see
Oh,
you but they can hear you. Like, oh no.
yeah. And then they threw that back in our face later on, where they both crawl in the Jeffrey's tube together.
Oh, that was great.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. Y'all got chemistry,
okay,
man.
yeah. There's something else going on here, whether you guys admit it or not.
Yeah, and it was cool seeing Miglimo pop up in there for a minute as well, seeking out strange new meals. Oh, that was funny. Um,
Overall, I really had fun with it.
Indeed. Me too. Really enjoyed this episode, man. Really no qualms about it. We have let me go through the Easter eggs real quick. We don't have to linger on it, but the Sluggo Cola, Mariner Stembolt, Moab 4, Genesis mini Genesis device, and the Paramount Eye, Paramount Plus Mountain, and the Unicorn Dog. Let's talk about the cold open real quick before we get out of here. This is going into this long kind of story they've been dropping into each episode with this mysterious ship
Hmm.
destroying vessels. And we see it again. And it seems like this Ferengi, have his name written down here, Jeef, I think was his name. Seems like he's expecting it to come. So,
Like he knew something.
yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, do you think the Ferengi have something to do with this or any other thing we can glean from this
Come on,
cold open?
it's Ferengi. I mean, to somebody in the Ferengi, and it's not to say that all Ferengi are not upstanding, but just like we've seen greedy humans on Star Trek before, and they live or were born on a world that is pretty much a paradise, and they're still not good people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, yeah, yeah. Whatever it is, I can't wait for them to unfold this mystery. It has to be coming close because we only have a few episodes left, so hopefully it's not disappointing. But uh,
I
I don't,
hope not.
I don't think they're. I finally come to the conclusion that I don't think they're killing them.
I don't either.
Yeah, so they almost definitely will be somewhere that we'll see pop up later. So, yeah, can't wait to see what they do with that.
I just want to say, seeing Chase on here, for anybody who's played Star Trek Online, Chase Masters, she was one of the first cast members, not the first, because obviously Leonard Nimoy was the first from the beginning, but she was one of the first cast members to actually lend her voice to, characters, two different versions. She's an admiral, and then she's also on the mirror side, and then she's regular Lita, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But one of the coolest things is in the game, one of the things you can pick up is self-sealing stem bolts. That's the joke that just keeps on giving.
Yeah. Um, let's pick up a few more comments before we wrap up and give our ratings. Everybody in the chat, go ahead and drop your ratings in there because we're going to give ours. But uh, Tasha and Wingrace have continued a discussion about the timeline. Um, Tasha saying that Wingrace is probably on point with his timing, and Wingrace points out that he was trying to use Riker's family tree to figure out the time that Kestra is like 13 in is like 13 in Picard season 1 and hadn't been born yet in Lower Deck season 2 that we know of. So, yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate on that time there. Wingrace points out also that Chase also played an Orion in the Star Trek fan film. Hmm,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Awesome, awesome. All right, Larry, let's go ahead and give our ratings for this episode. I think I want to go first on this one and
Okay,
leave it to you to follow me up. I'm going to give this surprisingly a 4.7. I
that's
kind of
good.
I kind of love this episode, man. It played into all the nostalgia in a good way by pushing the story further, character growth for our Lower Deck characters, and also characters we haven't seen in forever. So
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was a well done story all the way around. What about you, man? What's your rating for this episode, sir?
My rating, I'm gonna have to do one better. My rating is gonna be a 4.8
Mm, mm.
because I just felt strong. I didn't feel strong enough to give it 5, but I felt strong enough to almost give it that. Like I said, I had fun. I laughed out loud, and I hadn't done that for the last few episodes. Got to be honest, the last few episodes, the cold openings were more interesting to me than some of the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. On the whole, I think I've enjoyed this season a lot more than the previous season. I have to say. Tasha's giving this 4.5 out of
Uh,
5 Cardassian tequilas. Yeah, and I forgot my item again. We're gonna be consistent with that next week. We keep forgetting.
Cardassian tequila. What was the thing I was just gonna say in reference to Tasha? Kanar. You got to have Kanar, Tasha. That's what the Cardassians drink.
Tasha, Wig Grace is giving it 4 out of 5 tube grubs. Yeah, that's a good item.
I
That's a
got you, two grubs.
Oh man. So if you're listening for the first time or have been here for a long time, thank you for being here. Of course, you can hit us up at Discussing Trek on any and all social medias or send us feedback at discussingtrek.com. Larry, anything else before we get out of here, man?
I can't think of anything other than just having fun with this, loving Star Trek. We got so much to choose from. So that's it.
Indeed, indeed. And let's see. Let's hopefully they can stick the landing on this season. And this is a news item. I don't want to bring it up because we might keep going all night. But nothing is safe. So Mike McMahon says nothing is safe. So if you're loving Lower Decks, watch it on whatever platform you can. Praise it on social media because he really tried to make it seem like Lower Decks could be on the chopping block. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, whenever you have a new regime come in, they're going to look at it and say, what's profitable? How much we're just talking about the Ferengi. Come on. Hollywood is every bit like that. Last week I heard I was on told up. I'm just gonna say this: the new Exorcist movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much that thing opened with?
It's probably terrible.
Yeah, like I think 30 million. They
Mm.
paid for the rights to the franchise. They paid 400 million.
They've greatly overvalued the franchise.
Just letting you know. Just saying here.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So are we saying the people over at Paramount Plus are the Ferengi? That's what we're saying basically.
Yeah,
Uh,
what haven't they always been? I mean,
oh boy.
we don't even want to get in that because we will be here all night. And how many times? Oh, Wrath of Khan was one of the best. Well, it didn't really make any money. What?
Mm,
Nah, we want our attorneys to look at this.
mm,
It turned
mm.
out it did make some money.
Indeed.
you know.
Yeah, and Winter Grace is saying it looks like we're going to get the Badgie episode next week. That will be fun.
Oh, I love Badgie. Badgie is just the perfect psychotic computer program.
Yeah. I want to get Badgie and Moopsy in the same episode and Peanut Hamper in the same episode. That would be
You
my
know, it'd
dream.
be cool if you had Badgie and then got Moriarty.
Mm. Now, we'd really be in trouble if that ever happened. You know, Badgie should have showed up in Section 31 on Picard Season 3. I'm just saying. That would have been
That
great.
is true. That is true,
I
man.
think people would have been up in arms probably.
I need to find out who voices Badgie because they do an amazing job.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap up with that. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you next week. You guys have a great week. And until next time, live long and prosper.